Thank you. Now we will move on to our third technical session by Dr. Satish Bhise sir, former principal, Government College of Pharmacy, Karad, and director, KLK Consultant, Pune. He will be enlightening us on the topic Vision for a Research-Based University. Welcome, sir.
Welcome, Bhise
Sir,
sir.
I would like to give.
Yeah. Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon, sir. I would like to give brief introduction about him. Sir has completed his journey from being a student to the principal of Government College of Pharmacy, Karad, talking about his professional experience starting from clinical research associate to lecturer to assistant professor in various institutes, and then worked as principal at the Government College of Pharmacy, Karad and Aurangabad. Now he is director of Arogya Lab Foundation, Pune, KLK Consultant, Pune, and LNBC Institute of Pharmacy, Satara. Till date, he has guided 18 PhD and 80 plus MPharm students. In his credit, he has 105 research publications, 18 reviews, 15 books, 5 chapters, and 1 patent. He is a recipient of various awards like Professor B.M. Mittal Best Article in IJPER Award, Principal of the Year Award by APTI, and many more. More interestingly, I would like to tell that he has been listed in Marquis Who's Who in the World book. Actually, Marquis Who's Who is an American publisher of number of directories containing short biographies of such individuals having noteworthy achievements that have proved to be of significant value to society. And we really feel proud that Sir has been listed for 3 times in this book. We rarely get a chance to listen such an eminent personality. Thank you, sir, for your valuable time. Before we start, I have an announcement that session will be for 50 minutes and then 5 minutes will be given for question and answer session. Link for the attendance will be shared during session in the chat box. So now you can proceed with your session.
Yeah, please share your screen because I was. I
Yes,
put my
sir.
slides on your screen only. So kindly share your screen.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes.
Sir, is it visible?
No, not. Yeah, now make it full screen.
Yes, sir.
Good afternoon, listeners. Friends, all of you are aware that the new education policy has been announced. It is yet to be cleared by the Parliament, but the implementation of new education policy is just starting its process. And one of the founding concept of a national education policy is formation of a research-based university. Today, I have selected this topic for discussion, that what is a research-based university, what has happened all over world till now, what is the situation in India, and what we should do if at all we want to start. Have a similar. We have some activities related to this presently. I have listed some of them. May I have the next slide, please? Before starting the discussion on research-based university, I have 3 important concepts to be discussed. What is research? What is teaching? And what is university? Once we understand these basic facts, we can start discussion on what is a research-based university. May I have the next slide, please? Now let's come to what is research. Research means, if you put a dash between re and search, research, that is searching again. Now we'll wonder that for a fact, why you need to search again and again. The answer for this is, when new big things which are incompletely understood are to be comprehended, then reading them repeatedly is necessary. So when you try to understand new things repeatedly, many times when you read second time, third time, you get a new kind of thing that is involved in the research. One good quotation is there for research, that research is to see what others have seen, but to think what others have not. Very unique thing. Many people, even before Isaac Newton and later, might have seen a fruit falling from the tree, but nobody earlier thought why it is falling only on the tree and why it is not going upside. From that, the concept of gravitation came. So a falling fruit gave an idea to a person like Isaac Newton that there is something which attracting towards Earth, and that is gravitation. This was the basic research idea. So research is to think independently. Now, research also may involve solving a problem with existing knowledge. One of the important applications now, in case of research, there is a dilemma always: do we go for a basic research or applied research? For a country like India, where many problems are yet to be solved on different areas, the application of knowledge is important, and therefore, here in developing countries, research may involve solving a problem. It is true of developed countries as well. A research can be a technological breakthrough, and most important thing, how research differs from teaching is research is generating knowledge, while knowledge is transmitting the knowledge. Next slide, please. Now we come to, from research, we come to teaching. Teaching means transmitting knowledge. Knowledge has been generated by a scientist. Say we know gravitation through Isaac Newton, we know relativity through Albert Einstein, and then that is to be taught. So that job is done by teaching. Now, teaching, learning is a joint process. It is not a passive process like selling a good. If you want to sell, if there is a commodity, you can pay for it and take it. But teaching, learning is not a commodity. It calls for active involvement of the learner with the topic to be learned. There is a dilemma between learner and what is to be learned. Probably the process of learning may be incomplete. So one has to be together, and togetherness has to be with the teacher also. So it needs involvement of teacher and learner in a participative manner, not in a distinct manner. The teacher is staying somewhere at a higher pedestal, student is paying at a lower pedestal, and then they have to be at equal level. And what is not understood has to be plainly asked by the learner. The teacher has to explain that. So teaching and learning, now this gives the impression that research is all the great thing and teaching is only transmission knowledge. But reversal also many times is true. The learner is very inquisitive in learning, then the process of teaching and learning rarely may lead to new avenues. So you have to, in the process of research, you have to challenge the existing thing. You don't accept the things as it is, even if it is mentioned and used for several thousand years. So whenever you have a mind of challenging the thing, then you ask new things, and therefore sometimes some new good ideas may come in teaching. So teaching is equally important as that of research. The next slide, please. Now let's come to, with both these are combined together in university, and therefore let us have the concept of university. University means universality of knowledge. Now, sometimes back there was an idea that should there be subject-based university for pharmacy? There is subject-based university for health. There is subject-based university for technological courses in Karnataka. So should we go for a, now the argument placed against that was, university means university, that all aspects of knowledge should be put together. Now, very sadly, it has to be said that I'm not mincing words, saying that knowledge is always universal and compartments are human creation. This is physics, this is chemistry, this is biology, or within pharmacy itself, this is the pharmaceutical chemistry, this is pharmaceutics, is human creation. The knowledge is whole, And we create compartments only for our convenience, saying that this part of study will do this. So compartments can divide understanding, while knowledge unifies everything. So universality of knowledge, the concept, dissolves boundaries of the subjects. So whenever you are sitting in a university to solve a problem, well, the participant, best physicist, best chemist, best biologist may come together. But while solving the problem, they have to dissolve their boundaries of the subjects and look to the problem. This is a very important lesson for all of us. Hence, now this brings us that research has to be multidisciplinary in nature. So whenever research is to be conducted, many people coming from different parts, areas should participate in that. And commitment to a research problem induces sustained efforts of the research till solution is arrived. Patience is a very important thing in research, and you have to continue your research in spite of there are many failures. Thomas Alva Edison, when he invented the bulb, he said that now his 1000th experiment was successful and 999 were failed. So he says now I know why 999 have failed and this has succeeded. So behind a successful effort, there are a lot of unsuccessful efforts, but they are equally important. The reason of failure has to be understood, and therefore appetite for knowledge has to be continued, and it has no bar for it. Many people at the age of 80, 85 do their even doctorate. So a bar, age is not a bar, and everybody can participate. Now, having understood these basic three words, what is knowledge, what is teaching, what is university? Now, let us come to the next slide, please. Let's come to the basic issue of what we are. The national education policy, there is a long history that as soon as this new government took over in 2014, they had immediately put up a committee, TVS Subramaniam committee for new education policy. TVS Subramaniam was a secretary in one of the departments of government, and he gave the answer to what was asked around 2016. But probably government wanted to do something more, and therefore in 2000 latter part of 16 or 17, another committee headed by Dr. Kasturi Rangan was appointed by the government, and they submitted their report, extensive report, in around 2018, and then cabinet has cleared it now. Parliament has to clear. So new education policy has been approved by the Parliament of Government of India, but it has just to come to Parliament. There will be a lot of discussion there. And in this, there is a concept of research-based university. So once the NEP is implemented, now there are a lot of big things to be implemented. They may take even 10 years. So by 2030 or 2040, the complete implementation of NEP may be there. But it's a larger view. But when NEP is implemented, there will be only three kinds of institutions. One is research-based universities, then teaching universities, and accredited autonomous colleges. One important thing which changes our mindset is once the new education policy implemented, there will be no affiliated college to universities. And now we have several committees, a university we are looking as a big brother and looking for everything, syllabus being designed, all policies and all that. Now all this will come to autonomous colleges and they will be looking after them. Now out of these three concepts, the most important is research-based universities. I'm taking this for discussion today. Next slide, please. Now we have in this session around 5 learning objectives. At the end of this session, all of you, I expect that you describe history and ranking of research universities. Second is describe the importance of, there is one group together which has worked for development of this, and they have a concept of research-based international group. So I will cite importance of that, and that group has described put up a statement which is called as HEFEI statement. I will discuss about that. What is, they have also described 10 characteristics of research-based university. What are they? Then there are 3 Fs, mainly mentioning about faculty. And at the end, I'll be discussing about what is the relevance of the learning objectives with to India. Next slide, please. So we'll go to the first objective, describe history of ranking of research. Next slide, please. Let's see. In the 19th century, a German, I would say, teacher, philosopher, or scientist, W. Humboldt. In fact, now there is a Humboldt Fellowship in Germany being given. He was he championed the vision of unity of teaching and research as a means of producing an education. Earlier to Humboldt, before 19th century, the universities were pursuing truth, beauty, and goodness. This was the only purpose. But he was the first person who said, well, besides that, the unity of research and teaching has to be together. And he is said to be pioneer of the concept of research-based university. Next slide, please. Now, whenever you talk about history, international, next slide, we talk about American, what is happening in America. And therefore, next slide, please. In American research universities, a lot of efforts were done. In American research university was established. Now, there are three kinds of universities earlier in US. There were colonial colleges. Now, 5 of them are important: Harvard, Yale, Pennsylvania, Princeton, and Columbia. There were 5 state universities: Michigan, Wisconsin, Minnesota, Illinois, and California. And there were 5 private institutions. Now look, first and third were institutions and colleges, and the second was universities. Now they conceived from their inception as research universities. Right from beginning, they are private and research universities. Massachusetts, that is Massachusetts MIT, that is Massachusetts Institute of Technology, Cornell, Johns Hopkins, Stanford, and Chicago. So there are 15 universities in US, 5 earlier colonial colleges, 5 state universities, and 5 private universities, which together thought of really implementing. Although it started in Germany, America had a different history, and it took roots in America as well. Next slide, please. Now, look at the thing that education should lead technology, and things should happen on the field. In India, we see the other, that technological things happen, industry implement them first, then probably it may come to education, and education many times is lagging behind the industry. But look at the situation in US. Now, out of these 15 universities I mentioned, Columbia and Harvard were instrumental on forming Hollywood. In India, we have Bollywood, but in US, it is Hollywood. So the film industry development, etc., took place from the universities, and these were Columbia and Harvard. Now, another place, military industrial research complex, it came from MIT and Stanford. And the third, Silicon Valley, the greatest revolution, from which computer and many Indian scientists are working on this. Initially, these ideas developed in universities. Universities are leaders. And these, for Silicon Valley, the 2 universities involved were Berkeley and Stanford. In fact, I had some occasion to talk to some of the Berkeley fellow. He said that usually there are 10 to 12 Nobel laureates in Berkeley faculty. So this is the case of these kind of university. Next slide, please. Now, in addition to that, in US, there is the Association of American Universities, which is a selected group of 65 major research universities in the United States and Canada. So the idea has developed, and 65 major universities have come together. They are forming AAU. Next slide, please. Now, this has a global standing. There are different agencies. Now, when there are different agencies, the ranking comes. So now let's now take care of some ranking. Now, QS World Ranking in 2021 involved 1,002 research universities. So in the world, there are 1,002 universities, and see who are leading. 39.8% are from Europe, 26.7% are from Asia Pacific, 15.6 are from US and Canada, 10.8 from Latin America, and around 7% from Middle East and Africa. Asia is probably listed only as Asia Pacific. Now, in this, if at all you see country-wise division from this 1,002, 151 were from US, 84 from UK, 51 from China, and 45 from Germany. Now, the top out of these 1,002, if you take top 200, the similar pattern: 45 US, 26 UK, and 12 Germany. Next slide, please. Ranking has also been done by some other agency. The academic ranking of world universities shows a similar. Another agency has done this, and they have done it in 2020 with 185 of 500 ranked institutions coming from Europe, the 161 from America, 149 from Asia, Oceania, and 5 from Africa. This is just to give an idea what is the standing of research-based university all over the world. USA has the most universities from a single country, 206, followed by China, 168. China is just leading next. China is really coming up. And in the top 200, we have a similar pattern that 65 US, 24 China, 20 UK, and 10 Germany. Next slide, please. Now, there is one more ranking. The US News and World Report best global universities to best. It has ranked 1,500 universities. USA is at the top with 255, followed by China. But there is one ranking, 2020 CWS lead in ranking, which has put China at the top. This is very revealing. Now, this is a lesson for all of us that if at all a country has to be developed, country has to be technologically developed and go at the top, then the research has to be promoted to a large extent in the universities. And that next to US has happened in China. So China topped this list with 2,204, followed by US 198 and so on. This is about ranking of these research-based universities. Next, now, well, if at all we have to enter this race, we are still much behind. We should know what is the ranking criteria. Now, how are these research-based universities are ranked? Now, one of the criteria is the university has at least one research center or institute that functions under the jurisdiction but has a separate entity. Under the university, for example, just I'm putting an example that in SPPU, if at all SPPU, our Pune University thinks of becoming a research-based university, a department of nanomedicine, for example, or nanotechnology is developed, but it has independent of bioinformatics, already it is there. So there has to be a separate center. This 1/3 of them are of this kind, 35%. Now the second criteria is there are opportunities for undergraduates to participate directly in research. Let me elaborate on this point. Many times we have a feeling that the research is such a great thing that it has to be done only at the postgraduate and doctoral level, and it has no relation to undergraduate. This is perfectly wrong, I would say. Research is a mindset, and that has to start even at undergraduate. I know some students who have done good research in undergraduates while doing the degree, and they have been admitted in some of the best universities in the US. So if you are a research mind, start your research work in the undergraduate itself. That is second criteria. And the third is the university receives federal research fund. If at all you have good ideas, you are working for the nation, the government gives you a lot of money. So that is third criteria. So 1/3 where they had a separate center, another 1/3 had opportunities for undergraduates, and remaining 30% had good amount of funding. These are the criteria on which ranking is being done. Next slide, please. Now we come to second objective. That having learned this ranking and position of research-based universities, there is one HEFEI statement by we have seen that a lot of universities in US, Europe have come together, and they have found what is HEFEI statement. I will come to details about that. Next slide, please. Now there is a declaration. This HEFEI declaration is American universities. We have seen 65, group of 8, another group of 8 universities. League of European Research. In Europe, all universities have come together independently, and that is League of European Universities. And 9 Chinese universities. Out of many universities in China, 9 have come up to a large extent, and all these together have contributed for HEFEI statement. And they have mentioned about what should be a research-based university. Let's come to that knowledge of that. Next slide, please. Now, the first in this is HEFEI statement, the higher education. What are the characteristics to identify the key characteristics that make what will make a research university? So those criteria should be identified. Second is to promote a policy environment. Now, this just declaring the criteria or mentioning that is not enough. A right environment has to be created so that the research concept will take roots there. So to promote policy and environment which is conducive of this. Next slide, please. Now HEFEI has given some more hints. Research universities are distinguished by the quality, breadth and depth. See the word, breadth and depth. Depth of knowledge and breadth means spread of subjects. That means most of the subjects should be covered, and of course it depends on faculty, but there has to be depth in the understanding. Now, remember very well that nations increasingly rely on research universities to drive national development well-being. If at all the nations have to develop technologically, the universities have to develop. One reason why US and Europe have continued to be at the top of the technological development for last 50 years or so, the condition which was existing in India earlier, is because they are giving more important to research. And the third point is graduates leave universities to work in government. There are three sectors in which people leave from universities. One is business, one is government, another is business, and third is non-profit sector, NGO or so. So all these places, people from universities go and they work efficiently and develop all of them. Next slide, please. Now, HAP continues to give this statement that research universities are centers for the development of new ideas and discovery. New ideas. Now, for example, all research universities, COVID has been a issue for more than 1.5 years to most of us. So research universities have not waited for anything. They have started already various aspects. What is this virus? How it is working? How spread can be? Research has already started. So new ideas and discoveries which are relevant to the needs of human beings. They expand our understanding by testing and challenging. Though you have to have the attitude of challenging the existing knowledge. You don't accept it as it is. Now, a child listening to father as a obedient child-father relationship is fine. But when it comes to knowledge, while taking knowledge, you have to challenge every concept and take it only with the testing. So these are universities are also centers of creativity that develop new technologies and new ways of doing things. Next slide, please. HAP have made several contents on this. I'm just coming to the and then I will come to characteristics. University research drives innovation. Innovation is thinking of. I given a definition of research that you have to think in a different manner. So that is what is innovation. So it helps respond to major national and global problems. Remember, both national as well as global problems. Sometimes the appeal of your issue like pandemic corona has global levels. So you may concentrate at national or global issues. Then research universities are focal points of international collaboration. Many research universities can come together. Somebody may be expert in physics, somebody may be expert in chemistry, or maybe they may be in different universities. They come together. So international collaboration is an important part as HAPS is. Next slide, please. Now, in addition to that, universities are storehouses of knowledge and broad capabilities that provide an underlying state of preparedness, a kind of information. You have to be ready. Whatever new, if there is new disaster coming, you have to be ready for that, and you have to be ready to solve the problem. Next slide, please. Now, this goes to all kinds of education. First, I am taking undergraduate education. Now, as I said, research culture or research as a paradigm change has to start from undergraduate education itself. Government of India has started some schemes related to that. Kishore Vaidyanik Protsahana Yojana, right? From school time, find out the students who are really interested in research and put them for the research. So undergraduate education and research universities benefits greatly from the opportunities of these institutions. And a undergraduate student can get an employment as a research assistant, to work for his degree as well as do some job. So this has to be spread at undergraduate level also. Next, then it has come to at graduate level. Graduate education in research universities is enriched by the direct intensive engagement of graduate students. Now it is so much developed that industries have confidence in these research universities, confidence that they will solve and confidence that they will keep the solution only one-to-one to them and not put it to others. So therefore, many industries have to come and they come to institutions and put their money to solve their problem. So for graduate research, research is a resource generation. Next slide, please. Now, coming to the number, research universities typically, they may not be very large in number. Now, for example, we have talked about 1,002 universities in world. So if at all we think of India, maybe 20, 50 or up to 100, if at all the concept really goes well. We are not looking for great number of research universities. What we are looking for is a quality when that is to be developed. So research universities typically make up only a small portion of nation's colleges and universities, but account for a substantial proportion of nation's most of the higher education takes place. So now we have three concepts: research-based university, teaching university, and an autonomous college. Maybe autonomous college with a great contribution to development of technology also can also become a research-based university. So number is maybe a less thing, a smaller thing. So far as the next, now they get a lot of government support. Government is a public money, and public money is for used for the public resources. So governments provide critical support for research universities through a combination of block and merit-based competitive level funding. A block grant, you have to purchase this instrument, you have to take this training, take this block grant, and some grant to the students who are learning, and also some grant to the research workers. So a great government support has to come for this research-based university. Next slide, please. There is a introspection that such institutions are built from within by university administration having the strategic vision and operational excellence necessary. Now, vision has to be great and universities have to be formed, or they are rather to be developed from within. As I mentioned, an example of nanomedicine or nanotechnology, for example. If there are 2-3 good research workers in a university, they could be called together. Oh, if you are so much good contribution in nano field, you may come together and form a university where one center will be of nanomedicine and so on. So it has to come from within. It is not that government will identify some institutions and they will come up with research. The stimulus for research has to come from within, from the investigators. Next slide, please. Status. Now, the status of research university is ratified by the capacity to win competitive research fund. How will you get recognized? Status comes from recognition. When you solve difficult problems which others have not solved, people will come to you, industry will come to you. Or when you solve the problem of government, the government will come to you with money. So with solving unsolved problems which are difficult to solve, then the research-based university gets a status. Next. Now, network is yet another thing. That research university is not a unitary thing in one country. If they have developed a technology, say in case of COVID, viral cultivation, the virus has to be cultivated. Now, those who are expert in cultivating virus, whichever country they may have, the people for doing research on COVID, for cultivating virus and looking for effect on antiviral drugs and looking for effects of immunity will go to. So if you have something unique to offer, the entire world who are looking for the things can come to you. So there has to be a network of global network of university. Next slide, please. So now let us come to focus. The focus of university research is on expanding knowledge, leading to new understanding, products and processes that strengthen the national economy. As we have seen in this Bollywood, or for example, Silicon Valley, there are universities in which the things have been conducted and come together. So you have to solve problems, develop your knowledge. If you develop a product, there is a big thing that if a product is developed, a industry may be interested. Industry may be less interested in ideas which are not related to products, but universities have to develop that. If it related to products, industry will certainly come to take it. So the focus has to be new understanding, products and processes. Next slide, please. Now, the real challenge in case of these research universities are increasingly under pressure to shift from. Now, there is a dilemma in case of research-based university. Should that university go for basic research or applied research? What's the advantage and disadvantage on both the sides? Basic research may not get immediate returns as in case of applied research. Applied research may lead to a product, and therefore industry may be putting up money in applied research. Say, for example, the theory of relativity was a basic research. Now, it was conducted in the beginning of 20th century, 1905, and so a different thing. But when it comes to application, the industry may be more interested because. So, what should we do? Research should they go for basic research or applied research? The answer is they have to have a judicious mix of both too. Some fraction with applied research. Now, whether it is 50-50, 60-40, 70-30 is to be looked by the board of directors of the university. But A combination of basic research and applied research is a great challenge for research-based university. Next slide, see. Now we come to, sorry, third objective, that what are the characteristics of this HAPS statement on all the people who have come together have identified 10 characteristics. Very quickly, I will go through these characteristics. The first characteristic, next slide, please. What are the basic features or what are the characteristics of research-based university? The first is the pursuit of excellence across all its operations, calibrated through informed, independent, disinterested assessment. Now, informed and independent. Now, whether my research will bring him money and that's why I should go for it. I am interested, I will go for it. So many times it happens that informed, independent, disinterested assessment from peer organizations and individuals from outside. A commitment to transfer meritocratic systems for selecting faculty, staff, and I'm coming for this issue very often that faculty is at the center of development of research-based university. So if you select good faculty and develop institutions around them, certainly they will develop. So selection of a faculty, staff, and student is an important thing. Creating an internal environment that nurtures learning and that will develop the potential of its staff. So good stuff in the form of staff, students, good environment, and right assessment from the university outside is the first criteria. Next slide, please. Now, the second criteria, a major research effort which has both depth and breadth, producing internationally recognized research results which are broadly disseminated through publication, teaching, and community. Now, everywhere it may not be publication alone. So, many times it may be patent. The slogan of publish or perish has changed now to patent and prosper. And therefore, many times patenting is done first and then publication may be done. So in the form of patent or publication, the university has to build its strength. This is second characteristic. Third, next slide, please. A commitment to research. Now, the research-based universities may have, it is not compulsory. They may have only PhD programs or looking for that. So a commitment to research training, they may have master's program with research, which provides a continuing flow of highly competent and respected graduates, then who are able to advance the frontiers of knowledge and they contribute to national and international development. So research is the main thing, right from undergraduate to doctoral, even postdoctoral stage, only research is the being. That is third criteria. The research should be their main theme. Next slide, please. Now, the commitment to teaching at both the undergraduate and postgraduate level. Now, whenever new ideas are being developed, discussion with peers, discussion with students is necessary. And therefore, this has to come. Research cannot be in isolation. This research has to be intimately related to teaching. And therefore, the commitment to teaching should also come to produce broadly educated graduates able to contribute to national welfare across. Why national welfare? Because government will not give you money unless you look for a national welfare. Now, next criteria, C5, next slide, please. A dedication to the highest standards of research integrity. Integrity is important. Even in US, take it from in medical, I'm just talking about medical field, there are some people who are blacklisted because the observations they have made on which the basis of publication is done is doubtful. So integrity is the most important. First, you should be a good human being and then a good scientist. If you're not a good human being, being a scientist by floppy method will not take you to a larger thing. So integrity of persons is important, which ensures the probability of data collection. Data is more important. Don't fiddle with data. Assessment, your analysis, interpretation may alter, but data, if it is modified, it is not an integrity of the research work. Now, which is supported by explicit and effective process to investigate and respond to any allegations or perceptions of no unethical research or behavior with human being or otherwise. Next slide, please. Now, the next characteristics is responsible exercise of academic freedom to the faculty. Well, every time justification may not be. If somebody is committed to idea that through this idea I will come out, a freedom and some resources should be given without undue constraint. Now, this takes us to dilemma of applied research or basic research. basic research may not immediately bring something new. So wherever private universities or private funding is there, they may go for applied research. So without undue constraint within a research culture, no constraint on the person. Now, when you work for on field for marketing, you have to be habituated with the targets and achieving the targets clearly. Now, this kind of pressure should not be there. Leave it to ingenuity of the research worker. See that he's committed, see that his integrity is there, and see that he is doing efforts lightly. But don't put pressure on him, which extends beyond the vocational or instrumental and sees beyond immediate needs. Look for longer things also. Next slide, please. Another most important thing is tolerance, recognition, and welcoming competing view. Many times this is seen in many big scientists also. My viewpoint is right and others' viewpoint is I will not understand. So this is not right in case of research. Others' viewpoint also may be equally right, and therefore you have to have tolerance with immediate opposing views also, and look for support which they have given. So along with a commitment to civil debate. So debate is an important thing in case of development of your research-based university. Next slide, please. Then right to set its own priority. One should set his own priority. Don't alter priorities of scientists because they have their own priority thing in mind. What and how it will teach and research based on mission, its strategic development plans, and on all these matters, the investigator should be left free. The right to determine who it will hire and admit. This is an important thing. That many times the funders say, "Oh, I appoint this person." The research-based person should be given a freedom of selecting his own colleagues. Next slide, please. Now, ninth is commitment to support its local and national communities. This is important. That I am working, but I will not take care of community around me. Or national community is wrong. You have to look for your own community and national community and work for them also. Next slide, please. And open and transparent set of governance. The governance rule should be open and transparent. If at all some action has been taken on the person, he should know why the action has been taken in a transparent manner, and best able talent should be retained. But that does not mean that freedom of thought should be curtailed. So these are 10 characteristics of research-based university. Now, with this, now let us come to next slide. Next objective, fourth objective of our discussion. What are these 3 F's? Next slide, please. Very small. Funding, faculty, and future. These decide the sustaining of research-based university. Let's look at each one of them. Next slide, please. Funding. Much of the research in the hard sciences, social science, and technology around the world is conducted at university. Research universities get an extraordinary amount of funding from governments to produce their research. So funding has to be rich if at all a research-based university has to stay. Whether it is privately funded, publicly funded, or public-private partnership, there has to be good funding. Next point. Next slide. Now, most important thing is faculty. There is a saying in management that if you pay peanuts, you will get monkeys only. So if you want good scientists, will have to pay them well also. So because there is fabulous funding for research at these schools, top scientists and academics are drawn to them. I just given you an example of Berkeley. That in Berkeley, at any given point of time, half a dozen or a dozen Nobel laureates are working in Berkeley. Same thing with Stanford and many other universities. Now, all research universities have a graduate school. These graduate students tend to, now, as much as teachers, professors, the students are also a good human resource for contribution. So good teachers will select good students and they will develop. So, and today's students are tomorrow's faculty. So the professors at the university are mostly focused on research they are doing and instructing in the graduate school. Therefore, in many American universities, there is a facility, many Indian students get benefit of that. There is the class of teaching assistant that you learn yourself and some more time you give for as an assistantship to the teacher and you can develop. Next slide, please. And the third is future. So faculty, funding, and future. Going undergraduate to a research university is all about access. Student should get all the access needed for this. That means all full paper citations related to the field. Anytime they can go to library. Anytime if they want to do practical work. So all this access should be free. Only then the future will be very good. So these three F's, the funding, faculty, and future are to be done very well. Only then the research-based universities will sustain. Next slide, please. Now with this, we'll come to the last part of our objective of this discussion. The comment on relevance. What is the relevance of all the discussion? There are so many good American universities, there are good European universities, fine. But what is its relevance to India? Let's see that. Next slide, please. Now, what is the existing situation in India right now? We have large number of universities with affiliated colleges. If I talk about SPPU, the Pune University, right now I think some 600 to 700 colleges are affiliated to that. So we have large universities, their number is also large, and they have a large number of affiliated colleges. Universities with thrust on teaching and variable emphasis on research, especially when ranking is done. Many times the teachers in independent colleges feel bad that there is no good research facility in my college. My college is not coming in the ranking and all that. Whenever ranking is to be done, research is certainly given a priority. So in universities, teaching is the main part, and emphasis on research is variable. For example, a independent institute like IISc Bangalore, most of the teaching is it can be as very well called as a research-based university. Most of the professors are in research only. Now, in addition to that, what is existing right now? We have some subject-based universities. In Nagpur, in Maharashtra, we have a Sanskrit university. We have a health university in Nashik. In Karnataka, there is a technology university. In Tamil Nadu, there is a Tamil university. So we have subject-based universities in our country. Then agriculture universities are taken out separately. Many times, whenever there is a government resolution, GR, this is applicable to only non-agriculture universities. The word is common. So agriculture universities are put in a different basket, and all other universities are called non-agriculture universities. In addition to that, we have one very good thing, a network of CSR laboratories. With earlier, CSR laboratories had to come to universities for collaboration on things. Last 5-10 years, a development had taken place. ACS agency has come up, and CSR laboratories also have got some degree granting status with a common authority. If they follow that, the CSR scientists can also do work for higher degree. In addition to that, we have Indian Institute of Science Bangalore. We have many good number of IITs. We have good number of Indian Institute of Science Education Research, IISER. We have good Indian Institute of Management. We have about 6-7 NIPERs and central universities. All these are funded by central government. They have got good resource. There are few private universities deemed to be universities. Some of them are subject-based, or some of them are independent. Now, if at all, say a industry like Reliance develops a university, probably they may look for a knowledge which will develop their own industries, and therefore they may have subject-based departments also. Now, there is a peculiar thing here, that emphasis changes with state. Karnataka has a different policy, Maharashtra has a different policy, Gujarat has a Ayurveda university separately amongst all, a different thing. Why it is happening? That education is a concurrent subject, some part with center, some part with state. So whatever part is with state, with their autonomy, they can do that. But the concept of research-based university will change these things to a large extent. Next slide, please. Now, what is the Indian scenario? We have domination by political interests. Sometimes back, I had an occasion to discuss the issue with one of the vice chancellor of the health universities, and he said that there is a big thing happening in India, different than others. That in US or Europe, education will be given importance, that you know much more of education, you take care of it. Industrialists will be given much more importance, that something is to be done for industry, you do it. So professionals are treated, given due importance in, and that is why in US and Europe you find developed. But in India, it happens that many times the politicians decide interest. There is, as we say, committed judiciary, committed faculty also. So the highest position may be coming to the person with political interest. So there is a domination of political interest in India. Identification of right priorities. Now, in selection of priorities also, there at times there may be political interference. Commitment of academicians. Now, it is very well said. I would quote here celebrated jurist Nani Palkhiwala. He has made one statement very strange for India that individually Indians are very clever, but collectively they are fools. When we come together, our ego interacts so much that meaningful things come to a lesser extent, and therefore, what we expect in a team that together everybody achieves more is relatively less in India. So, if we are committed to an objective and you work together, your ego will be subsided, and in that case, you can work. Linkage between government, industry, and universities toward identified objectives very limited. Availability of funds many times I things are changing now just with application and good ideas you may get, but there were days where lobbying has to be done to get the grants. This is gradually
It
coming
was
down.
good.
That's what.
He
Then
got bugged
independence
with Isha and all, but
and then important thing is coherence between long term and short term objectives. Now remember, if you want to develop well, long term objectives and short term objectives should be coherent. If for short term objectives, if you have to sacrifice long term objectives, you will not be able to go very long. And if you are going only for long term objectives without looking for short term objectives, your immediate future also may be at. So there has to be a coherence between long term and short term objectives. Next slide, please. Now, linkage of national and international interest. This is again a expected thing. Institutions now. There was a committee appointed for looking at the after 25 or 30 years of CSR development laboratory. There was a committee appointed by one of the senior persons. I will not name him, but he has mentioned there that what our politicians earlier they had first developed the labs and then look for the persons. Instead, if they have done the other way, look for a person, give them a chance to develop, and the things will develop. I can isolatedly say two very good persons. Dr. Homi J. Bhabha, look at our nuclear research, how it has prospered. And another person, Vikram Sarabhai and APJ Abdul Kalam. How look at how these were the people with vision, and they were and around them rather institutions were developed. It has not happened everywhere. So if you look for good persons first and then build institutions around, you will certainly come up. Ego of experts should be sacrificed for bigger objectives, and attainment of objective is the basis of evaluation rather than. In fact, one point which CSR committee has made is very devastating point he has made, that in CSR laboratories many individuals have developed probably at the cost of institutions. The CVs of individual scientists is very big, but the achievement of some of the laboratories is not that big. We have to change this. Next slide, please. Now, if at all we have to develop a research-based university in India, it has to be multidisciplinary. No subject-based universities, nothing of that kind. So, what are the areas where it should look for? Agriculture. Very nice thing said about our agriculture is something as jokingly said that our culture is agriculture. That so much 55% of our population is depending on agriculture. Health. Very important in COVID situation. We have realized the importance of health. So we have to have health as the second vertical of this. Science and technology, development of technology for your own benefit, that will benefit, and arts and culture. I remember many times scientists look to the arts and culture as a secondary thing. It is not so. A person, I mentioned that earlier, a scientist has to be a good scientist, a good human being first. If there is no culture, then you get a monster rather. He may be a good technologist, but he has no culture, he will kill all others, and that should not happen. So if at all a research-based university in India has to come, it has to have four verticals: agriculture, health, science and technology, and arts and culture. Next slide, please. Now, what are the Indian things which are needed? villages at the center of development. It is said that around 7 lakh villages are there in India, and the scientific developments, except I believe that Anand in Gujarat, look, there is a rural university. Except for that, there is no other place where villages have been taken as the center. So there can be interdependent villages and clusters have to be developed, but the policy has for that as well. The same thing is with the MSME, micro, small, and medium industries. They should be at the core, and they can be interdependent, or they can depend on a big industry, and large number of MSMEs can depend on a big industry, and government has to support that. Then the promotion of startups, our government has taken due efforts in this, and last couple of years, good number of startups have come. Startups, it is said by our Prime Minister that today's startups are probably tomorrow's MNCs, multinational. Then entrepreneurial guidance at every stage. A beginner, he may be good at science, but he may not be good at administration or finance. He has to be developed. And economies of scale. When you promote or develop a thing at a larger scale, probably cost comes down. So economy scale has to be looked for. This should be our priorities. Next slide, please. Now, what is expected of a research-based university in India? Next slide. RBUs, that is a research-based university, should be problem solvers rather than compartment. Many times, many people said, I'm an expert of this area. Well, I can understand your problem, but I cannot solve your problem because I don't want to look into areas which are related to that. You stay in your own foothold of this subject compartment, then you are not able to solve the problem. So RB should be problem solver, and therefore multidisciplinary nature is important. Indian ethos. Now, there are research problems relevant to Indian ground conditions. I don't subscribe to the opinion which I'm telling now, but there is an opinion telling that in the products of IIT are problem solvers of US and Europe rather than that of India. Many of them go abroad, settle down. Now, if they want to go and earn money, nothing wrong. But when they are looking or developing research, they should look for Indian ground situations also. Of course, the similar situation has to be created in the ground. They have to be interdisciplinary in nature. The research problem should be at the center, not the subject. Now, for example, COVID has to be treated. So whether it is microbiology, whether it is virology, whether it is antibiotics, whether it is pharmaceutical, that is not the containing this pandemic is the more important. Whatever needs to be done, experts have to come together and work together. Students have to be multidisciplinary in order to solve the problem. This is to some extent done only at the doctoral research, that you are given a research problem and you are asked to solve. I will cite here one small thing in UK, that one student goes to a senior head of the department in the University of UK and asks him, sir, I want to do post-graduation. I have an option of doing PhD also. The guide said, I will give you a problem. If you are able to solve this problem yourself, you will get PhD. And if you want help from somebody, go to my student, but in that case, you will get a master's degree. So this is the difference between the approach. So a problem solver, research worker has to be developed. The problem banks have to be developed. The government has their own problem. Industries have their own problem. NGOs, they should prepare a problem bank. And more importantly, the trust with those who are developing technology. It should not be leaked. So if the sponsorer is putting money to solve that problem, the answer should be given only to sponsors and not others. If it is a non-infringing technology, the things are different. Next slide, please. Now, what are the expectations? Problems banks to be updated and renewed. Problems should be converted in products. Now, when problems are converted into products, industries get interested. Now, everywhere, commoditification is not possible. I'm just emphasizing on this word, that many times it is said that in India, health has been commodified. Health is not a commodity. A commodity means a tablet is a commodity. A diagnostic test is a commodity. But health is entirely a combination of several factors together. So when commodification is not possible, alternative, affordable and acceptable alternative should be worked out in collaboration with the funder. So in that case, so coordination between RBUs and stakeholders. Who are the stakeholders for RBUs? The common man, industries, NGOs, and government. And generous funding with objective basis has to be available to them. Next slide, please. Now, there are certain key points at the end. Just let me mention. Implementation is the key, not merely the thought process. Feedback from stakeholders should be actively considered. Local talents should be appropriately recognized. Now, this is extremely important that many times local talents, because they don't have formal education, it is not recognized. I will cite here one example just to mention that. In Kerala, it happened that a Vaidu was appointed as a professor of folk medicine. Now, is it possible in conventional thing that Kerala University who has done that? I appreciate that. But many times, a formal education is only considered important to give the highest post. So, non-formal education should be rewarded in research-based universities as well. Next slide, please. Now, in order to achieve this, there has to be good infrastructure. So, every RBU should have an IPR cell, intellectual property. If any scientist has to register patent, immediately it should be done in there. Then there should be incubation centers to promote startups. So if there is an idea which can be converted into business, the incubation center should help. Or linkage with the right industry. Many times large scale implementation is not possible. So go to large industry. Assurance of protection of this is important of IPRs. And integrity of investigators and appropriate financial sharing. Now, unless the investigator who is developing the technology is assured that good return is going to come here, he may not put his right efforts. So that assurance has to be given to the investigator. Finally, next slide, please. Let me summarize. Next slide, please. That research-based universities are now coming to the relevance of national education policy to Indian situation. Research-based universities as a policy of education is a new concept to India. As a policy, we have not done that. We have islands of excellence, I would say, funded by central universities, ISCs, ISERs, IITs, IIMs, NIPERs, and central universities. They have good funding. But to what extent they solve our Indian problem, a question mark has to be studied, and they are to be they are real research-based universities right now, but they have to give the right emphasis. A true multidisciplinary RBU solving problems faced by Indian stakeholders is the need of the day. Searching for right faculty with right attitude is the crux. If infrastructure is built around faculties, I mentioned that, rather than building first and then looking for a person, giving advertisement, we want director of this lab and all that. First identify a person and give him full freedom to develop that. Public-private partnership can be effective if right faculties manage RBUs and if there is no political interference. But still, I have some punching statements at the end. Let me make that last final point. The selection of right manpower and building institutions around them can be the most powerful solution for an effective RBU. So, I mean, coming in 10 years, if a private, public or public-private RBU comes up, the faculty is the most important thing. Objectives for RBUs may be identified now. I do appreciate the importance of politics. That politicians are the people who are to develop policies. Fine, let them develop the policies. What should be the objective of RBU? Let them do that. But implementation in day-to-day activities should be minimized. They let them identify what should RBUs do. Then final evaluation of RBUs should be based on achieving identified objectives. So, friends, I have given a very, I would say, helicopter view of what are research-based universities, how they are to be developed, what is the status all over world, and what is happening in India and what should happen. If at all right consideration is being given, a good research-based university can come up in India, maybe in Maharashtra, maybe in Pune, if all of us contribute for that. Thank you. Thank you. Any questions? Yeah.
Thank you so much, sir.
I think I've maintained the time. Yeah, cross some time. Okay.
Yes, sir. Thank you for your precious time and valuable guidance. Sir, we would definitely like to hear you again in our upcoming events. Please accept this virtual bouquet on behalf of convener and principal, Dr. P.D. Chaudhary, sir.
Thank you.
And kindly accept the certificate on behalf of coordinator, Dr. Atul Phatak, sir, Professor, MCOP, Pune.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. It was very informative session, what we have witnessed now. And definitely this research-based universities, they are going to change the scenario of total research activities in India. Thank you, sir.